What is good, y'all? It is Anime K here, and we are back with another video. Now, today I want to talk about Boruto versus Hidori. Now, I was really surprised how well this fight was done. I really enjoyed this fight. I think it was done very well. I was also surprised that I actually liked it. I know I said I was surprised that it was done very well, but I was surprised that I actually liked it because I didn't think I would actually like this fight when it first happened. I thought that, one, this fight happening so early wouldn't be very good. You know, I was saying all the same things everyone else was really saying, but when the fight actually happened, I can't lie, I really enjoyed it. I think it was done well. I've also seen a lot of people saying that they don't like the fact that Hidori lost, and me personally, I think it makes sense to his character that he lost, and I'm going to get into that in this video. But guys, like and subscribe, share the video, and let's get into it. Now, I think at the start the fight was done really well. I like Boruto's quick thinking, the way he was able to obviously counter Hidori pretty well, the way he was able to make him retreat pretty quickly. Now, obviously, at the end of the fight, he does need Sarada and Konohamaru's help, but I think at the start of the fight, I think it's very telling how quick he was and how he was able to block Hidori and even make him retreat very quickly. And the reason why I say that is because you gotta remember, Boruto just used the flying Raijin twice, which is very draining jutsu, right? Obviously Minato was able to use it very quickly, but for someone like Boruto, who it seems like he's a beginner in terms of the flying Raijin, the fact that he has to use toads and he doesn't really use it the same way Minato used it, the way Minato could just place it everywhere, so he's very much a beginner, right? So I'm guessing if you're a beginner of the jutsu, it probably takes more chakra. I don't know, but he did look pretty tired after using them, right? But he was still able to go up against Hidori pretty well at the start of the fight. And obviously at the end of the fight, he did need Sarada and Konohamaru's help. But I think at the start of the fight, he did well. And obviously he made him retreat pretty quickly, right? So I think that's telling to Boruto's character. And even though Boruto right now is very strong and very impressive, he still finds ways to impress me within these chapters, right? Now I want to talk about Sarada very briefly. I think she did pretty well to keep up with Boruto, and you know what, I really like her and Boruto's teamwork because I think they've always worked well together and they've always had that kind of unspoken teamwork, and she's always been able to read what Boruto's been able to do. So I like how them two work together. Right now she does have to be saved again by Boruto, but by the end of the fight she uses the Hidori stream on the Shinju, right, and she's able to help Boruto use his new jutsu on the Shinju, nearly killing it, right? But I think Sarada during this fight, she does pretty well. She has her good moments, but you know what, I think I'm kind of liking where her character's going. I think her character, again, like I said in previous videos, I won't go over the same talking points, but I like the way her character's going, and I think her character will be very good during these next couple chapters, and she's having moments during this fight where she's doing very well. So I do like that and hope that her character does continue to improve during these chapters. Now Boruto's new jutsu is very interesting. I still don't really understand how it works. I do like it, I guess, or I don't really, you know what guys, I don't really know if I like it. I'm kind of 50-50 on it. It's very unclear how it works. I think we need an explanation on how it works because I don't want it to turn into one of those jutsus where it's kind of a cop-out jutsu where anytime he's in a fight, it's just, oh, I have limitless power and I can channel all this power, so it doesn't matter how strong the opponent is. I'm not saying that will happen. Obviously, I don't think Kishimoto would go down that route, right? But I do think it's very interesting, the fact that he can channel as much power as he wants. I mean, he even says it's limitless, basically, right? But it is interesting in the way the jutsu works, right? Because he says he has to keep his feet planted on the ground. Now, I do think this jutsu is very similar to Sage Mode, the way obviously Naruto had to stand still and obviously channel the Sage power the same way Boruto has to stand still. I don't know if it's similar in that way. I can't remember if he has to stand still or if his feet just has to be planted obviously on the ground. Obviously you're gonna have to stand still for your feet to be planted on the ground, right? I mean, you can move around obviously and your feet will still be still, but I think it works similar to Sage Mode where Boruto has to stand still for this jutsu. Now I don't know if that plays into Kashin Kojin a lot more. We know Kashin Kojin is his teacher. We know he's using the toads as well, so maybe it plays into Sage Mode a little bit. I thought that comparison is very interesting. Now again, I don't know how to feel about the jutsu. I think it's very cool, but again, I think we need a more bigger explanation on it. But again, I don't really have much problems with it right now. I may have a problem with it down the line, but I don't have many problems with it right now. And also, I think it's impressive that just from fighting Hidori once, he was able to know how much energy to use on Hidori, because like he said, he channels the energy through the ground, right? It's limitless, but he has to channel a certain amount of energy, given the fact that when he does blast it off, before he blasts it off, he says maybe it's not enough, basically hinting at the fact that it's not enough energy, or it may not be enough energy to kill Hidori, which obviously we find out in the next page that it's not enough, but Kawaki ends up finishing finishing him off. But I think it's still very impressive the fact that he's able to know how much energy to use in the Shinju. Now, maybe he just guessed, maybe he just thought, let me use as much energy as possible. I don't know, but again, I do think we need a bigger explanation on the jutsu. Now, moving on to Hidori. Now, the reason why I said at the start of the video why I think it made sense for him to lose is because it's for a couple reasons. One, he doesn't know himself yet. Two, he questions his motivations. Three, still isn't sure about his own abilities. And four, I think he will come back stronger. Now, the thing about him not knowing himself, you see he's constantly questioning himself, questioning who he is, he's questioning his abilities, he doesn't really know himself, right? I mean, right now he's acting like a 20-year-old or like a teenager. So I'm there with Hidori. I don't know myself much either, but the main point here being he doesn't really know himself, and he kind of fights in the way of not knowing himself, because if you're not sure about your motivations, I guess it will make you not really fight the best. I mean, I'm sure you've seen them quotes where, you know, them samurai quotes where you have to know yourself, you have to know the sword, but right now Hidori, he doesn't know himself, even asking Sarada, who am I? So I think it plays into his character pretty well that he lost this fight, and I do think it was actually a good thing that he lost this fight, in terms of I feel like he will come back stronger and will come back more powerful. But the fact that he doesn't know himself, I think it plays into his character. I mean, he doesn't really know how to use his own jutsu, Sasuke's jutsu. So I think, again, I think it was done very well, actually. I really do. I'm actually surprised. I actually really enjoyed this chapter very much. I know a lot of people have mixed feelings on it, but I think it was done well, and I think Hidori losing actually made sense. Now, I will agree, initially I wasn't on board with the idea of them two fighting. The way Kishimoto did it in this chapter, yeah, I actually liked it. I think it was very well done. You guys obviously let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Maybe you guys could point something out to me that I may have missed, but for the most part, just reading back over it, I kind of thought it was done very well. Now, once Hidori loses, a thing comes out of him called the Thorn Soul Bulb. Now, when this thing appears, right, Kashin Kojin confirms to Boruto that, oh, I've seen this thing before. Now, I thought this part was very interesting, because how does Kashin Kojin know what the Thorn Soul Bulb is? Now, if you guys have forgotten what that is, hopefully not, because the chapter's only come out a couple of days ago. It's basically a thing that came out of Hidori, or came after Hidori died, basically. So I'm guessing by the name it's probably the core or the heart or something of the Shinju, where maybe if you destroy it or wherever Boruto planned to take it would help bring Sasuke back. That's what Boruto at least believes anyway. We don't know if that will actually bring Sasuke back, but that's what Boruto believed. But what I do think is interesting is Kashin Kojin, he says he's seen it before. Now, how could have Kashin Kojin seen this before? Now, I feel like this kind of links to Amado. I don't know why. I feel like Amado's been pretty quiet. He's been pretty in the background. I obviously had his moment of realizing that he's been brainwashed, but I feel like he's been pretty quiet in these chapters for a reason. Amado's kind of the dark horse of these chapters yet, because we don't really know much about Amado. Like, obviously we know he was a part of Kara, we know he obviously built the cyborgs, right, and we know he's a literal genius, right, one of the best characters we've seen in the show for the stuff he's built, but we don't really know much about him. So how could he have seen the Thorn Soul Ball before, and who would have told Kashin Kojin about this? Now, obviously Kashin Kojin, I think he says he has a source, or I think he just says he's seen it before, one of the two, right? Sorry, correct me if I'm wrong, I'll have to look back at it, right? Even though I've just obviously dogged on you guys for not remembering it, right? But I can't remember the exact thing he says, but I think it's very interesting. I feel like it might link to Amado in a certain way, right? Because how does Kashin Kojin know what that looks like? How does he know? I feel like that's very interesting. Again, I'll probably have to make a separate video on that, going deeper into that. But hey, if you guys have any theories, let me know in the comments below and I'll be sure to explore that. Now, after this, Boruto goes to pick up the Thorn Soul Ball, but Jura is able to snipe him from far out, right? Hit him with this laser beam, pick up the Thorn Soul Bulb, and he says, Boruto, I'm gonna have to kill you. You know too much. Oh yeah, and he hits Sarada as well, because Sarada goes to pick it up as well. But he says to Boruto, look, well, he doesn't say it to Boruto, but he narrates it, basically saying, Boruto, you know too much, you've got to go. And I actually really like this ending, because one, finally seeing Boruto actually take damage is very good, because I don't think he's really taken any damage. The only pushback he's really got is when his karma started flaring out, right, which he has no control over. And two, when he first seen the Shinju, he had to retreat, but that was because they was all in the same place, and there was no way he was taking on all four at once. But it was good seeing Boruto, I guess, get humbled a little bit, get hurt a bit, because I think, again, he's just been too dominant throughout these chapters, so I think that was a good thing. And also, if you look where he got hit, Kawaki is literally right next to him, so I'm really excited to see what Kawaki does, because Kawaki could just straight up kill him. We know Kawaki's wanting to kill him, so I'm very interested to see what Kawaki does in this situation, because right, the way Kishimoto has set it up, Kawaki needs information from Boruto, but at the same time he wants to kill Boruto. So I'm really keen to see what happens there. I'm sure something will happen where they'll be like, no Kawaki, we can't kill Boruto, we need to find out what happened, we need information. So I'm sure he obviously won't be able to kill Boruto, but I'm very interested to see if he actually attempts to kill Boruto while he's on the floor, or if everyone will just have to convince him to obviously keep Boruto alive because they need information. But my final thoughts on this whole chapter, right, or my final thoughts on just this fight specifically, I enjoyed it. I think it was very well done. Obviously, guys, if you have your different opinions, let me know in the comments below, but I really think it was done well. I don't think much was done wrong. I think it was done good. I think it done a good job at getting me more excited about the next up and coming chapters, but also leaving a big question mark as well. But guys, like, comment, subscribe, share the video. Obviously, give me your thoughts on the chapter, because again, I know there's mixed opinions on it. And this has been Anime K, and peace. I'm out.